Hey everybody, I'm John, and this is Blind Whiskey Reviews. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, the most honest reviews on YouTube. Very excited to bring you another No Time Like the Present review today. If you haven't joined me for one of these before, this is where I crack a bottle open that I really want to taste or that you guys have been asking for. This lets me kind of crack the bottle, get it opened up, let it get some airtime, have a taste, give you my initial thoughts on the whiskey before we get to the blind review down the line. So today, I'm excited to bring you the Maker's Mark RC6. That's the stave profile. It's their 2019 release, and it's Maker's Mark's very first limited edition release. So, kind of a cool release. Really excited to get into this one. For those of you that aren't super familiar with Maker's Mark, for the longest time, Maker's really just offered their standard bourbon, and eventually came out with Maker's 46, which is kind of a riff on this in the sense that it was the Maker's bourbon finished with oak staves in it. So that was a pretty wide release, and it's actually quite good. I think it's a really good twist on the standard Maker's profile. They then started doing a twist on Maker's 46, which was the private store picks. And in the private store picks, they let the store choose from a number of different types of staves that they wanted to add to the whiskey, so they could blend their own unique combination of staves, and that would kind of give them their own unique twist on the whiskey, which is really cool. So those are out, and this is their first limited edition release that they're putting out, kind of a riff on that whole idea, where they're choosing the staves that they want in the whiskey, and in this case, they are using 10 virgin toasted American oak staves. So the stave profile is called RC6. It is bottled at 108.2 proof, 54.1% ABV. There's a little bit of info on the back of the bottle, and I won't read you all of it, but let's see. It says the RC6 staves are toasted in a high temperature oven. They add 10 staves to each barrel of Maker's Mark and place it in their limestone cellar for an extra finishing process. So they're not really clear on how long that process is or how long it sits on these oak staves, but I'm really curious to get into this one. I've heard good things about it, so let's not waste any more time. Let's taste this whiskey. So I've always been a fan of the Maker's Mark wax. It always kind of makes a unique appearance for them, and it's definitely, you notice it from far away. And they've always had good wax. It's never been that crumbly, Jim Beam old wax that they used to have. Synthetic cork. Smelling good off the top here. Let's pour some whiskey. All right. On the nose, it's a little subdued, first smell here. Strangely, like one of the first things I smell is like a sweet cinnamon. Now a little bit of fruit's coming in, but there's definitely a really bold cinnamon note on it. Maybe a touch of honey, slight vanilla. I can definitely pick up that like Maker's Mark note on it. Like they have a very distinct character to them, and I've only been recently picking it up or realizing that is a unique Maker's Mark trait. And I definitely smell that note here. And I really can't put my finger on what it is. I swear I almost smell like a mintiness on this. There was some profile notes on here somewhere. Yeah, there's generic. It says barrel finish for amplified notes of fruit, balancing sweet and spice. Well, that doesn't help anybody. Interesting nose. Not quite as a robust nose as I would hope that it would have. At a higher proof like this, I really expect it to kind of be a little bit more in your face, and you really kind of have to dig for the notes. So, don't know if that means anything for us. Maybe it just needs a chance to open up. Again, first pour, neck pour, so we really can't judge too harshly on this pour of whiskey, but let's get to the taste. Cheers. Okay, I don't want to give you too many notes on the first sip here, but there's definitely more flavor on the palate than there is on the nose. There's definitely a fruitiness there. Got some apple, like red apple. There's definitely some spice there as well. I mean, I guess to some extent that statement on the front is true. Like, there is a pretty good balance of kind of those like cinnamon spices and fruitiness here. Yeah, it's nice, it's rich. So far, not quite as complex as I may like. Like, there's a few kind of prominent notes, and I'm looking for a little more complexity. It's definitely got a nice, like, medium toward the high end of medium mouthfeel, kind of approaching full. It feels really nice on the palate. Finish is medium, not incredibly long. You're kind of left with a little bit of lingering bitterness and maybe like a few like sweet fruity notes. Definitely tastes like Maker's Mark. Like Maker's Mark, this sounds terrible, and it isn't this exactly, but it's almost got this like, I hate to say Band-Aid, but it's almost like this like rubbery quality to it. And it's not in your face, and it doesn't ruin the whiskey, but it's definitely there, and I definitely taste it in a lot of Maker's products. Let's get one more taste. I mean, maybe it's just because I know these oak staves are in here, but you can definitely kind of taste this almost, it doesn't taste like virgin oak, like raw oak, but it definitely doesn't taste like a charred oak. Like it tastes, it's interesting, it's unique, and it's cool. It's kind of nice to be able to find a different note in there that you don't normally get on a whiskey. Let's get one more taste here. I know I already said that, but I want to give you some more flavor notes. Yeah, so the prominent notes right now, kind of the front of the tongue, a big apple taste, big apple character. Mid palate kind of switches into some cinnamon, some vanilla, a little bit of that. And as it kind of transitions to the back of the palate is where you kind of pick up those oaky notes, that kind of like virgin toasted oak kind of note, a little bit of bitterness, blended with a little bit of sweetness in the back of the palate and the finish. So it's really a nicely balanced finish in terms of bitterness and sweetness. Doesn't finish out too sweet, so it's not cloying, but it's not overly bitter as well. It's just really nicely balanced there. I wish the finish was a little bit longer. It's kind of the short end of medium, but pretty good. So far, so good. I'm very curious to see what this whiskey does when it opens up, and as we always do, we're going to give this 20 or 30 minutes in the glass just to kind of give us an impression of what's going to go on with this whiskey with a little bit more airtime in the future. So we will wait 20, 30 minutes, and I'll be right back. All right, so we are back. This whiskey's been in the glass for 25 minutes, and actually, while I shut the camera off and was sitting around twiddling my thumbs, I was really started to get on the finish. You know, the actual main taste of the whiskey had kind of gone over my palate, and it wasn't there anymore. But I started to really taste like a bitter chocolate and coffee, maybe even like a little bit of toffee. Like it was just kind of lingering on my palate a little bit. So I'm really curious to see if we can dig in and try to find those notes here, because I mean, it was definitely coming from the whiskey. So I'm hoping those, maybe when this whiskey opens up, some of those notes will come out and come through. So definitely feels like it's sweetened up a touch, like on the fruit side. Definitely getting some more like red fruit. Definitely getting more vanilla. It smells a touch less spicy and a touch less of that like Maker's note. They're not in your face, but if you really dig for them, kind of hiding behind the vanilla almost, when you get this big vanilla burst on your palate, which is definitely much more forward now than it was when we first opened this whiskey. You can kind of find these hints of this little like toasty chocolate, coffee, toffee. They're back there. They're buried. They're very faint, but they're there. And I kind of feel like once this whiskey opens up a little bit, they might come forward just a little bit more. Yeah, and the more you allow like the sweetness of the whiskey to kind of wash over your palate and go away, you're kind of left with a little bitterness, and those notes start to come forward just a little bit more. It's kind of like this light, lingering finish. Tons more vanilla on it right now. Like the cinnamon that was here before kind of went away. It feels like vanilla took its place. So it doesn't happen too often, but giving it this time in the glass has really made some pretty decent changes to this whiskey. And for me, that's a good thing. It kind of indicates that this whiskey is going to be opening up pretty well, because it's enhancing the whiskey. It's making it better. It's become a bit more complex. There's more notes here. There's more diversity over the different parts of your palate. It's not kind of like a 2 or 3 note whiskey. Like I was getting 2 or 3 big notes before, and now it feels like there's a lot more notes there. There's a lot more little notes kind of hiding in the background that have come forward since we gave it that time. So I'm liking it much more now than I did initially. Let's get one more taste and I'll give you my final thoughts. I didn't really talk about the proof too much. I mean, you definitely feel the proof. The warmth on your tongue is there. That heat on your palate. It definitely feels like it's in excess of 100 proof, and obviously this one's 108. So you can kind of feel that, but it feels like it's like right on the money in terms of the proof that it is. That 105, 110 character. You can really kind of pick that out on it. You definitely get the flavor that you should get with a whiskey that's at that proof. Like I said, the complexity has definitely been enhanced since I left it in the glass. So definitely if you've got a fresh pour of this whiskey, let it sit in the glass a little bit. It's a much better experience than it was at first. And not that it was bad at first, but it's definitely better now. So, and I think it's only going to get better with, some weeks and maybe a month or 2 of airtime. So on this one, I'm going to say my preliminary score here, it's not blowing me away, but I think it's good. And I think there's a lot of potential here. So I'm going to give it an 84. I think it's very solid, very good, and I think, if I had to guess, that when we do the blind review of this whiskey after it's had some airtime, this is definitely going to ramp up to the high 80s, at least. It definitely has potential here. There's definitely some hidden flavors that are coming out, so I'm excited to see what it does in the next month or so. So, anyways, if you've had the chance to try the limited edition 2019 Maker's Mark RC6 release, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Really love to know what you guys think of the bottle and what you think how it opens up. Does it open up to be a more complex and better whiskey? I really feel like it's going to, so I really love to hear what your guys' experience has been. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at blind_reviews. You can also catch me on Instagram at Mission Bottle Kill, where I'm posting pictures of people killing all kinds of great bottles of whiskey. So if you'd like me to repost your bottle kill, just tag at Mission Bottle Kill in the post. You can also send me an email at blindwhiskeyreviews, that's whiskey with an E, at gmail.com. And until next time, cheers.